Operation Iceberg, Tetsu no Bofu, or Typhoon of Steel, the locals called it. The Battle of Okinawa started on Easter Sunday, April 1st, 1945, and would continue for over 2.5 months. 82 days of the fiercest fighting in World War II. 22 days into that campaign, on April 22, 1945, U.S. Marine Private Robert Ory wrote home from his foxhole in Okinawa. He wrote about his first baptism of fire, his terrible sleeping conditions in that foxhole, and his religious experiences. We had Mass this afternoon. I went to confession beforehand and went to communion at Mass. So help me, I've attended Mass under all conditions and in every place imaginable since I'm in the Marine Corps. They held it outside with a pile of boxes stacked together for an altar. We knelt out on the ground, which had cracked coral to fill in the holes. The small pieces of coral were mixed in with the mud, and when I got on my knees on that, it felt like pieces of glass. When the battle had ended, the island looked more like a scar than a victory. Entire villages were gone, churches and hospitals leveled, and survivors, soldiers and civilians alike, searched for meaning amid the rubble. Through this battle and devastation, the U.S. Army and Navy chaplains ministered to the living, helped bury the dead, and sometimes planted the seeds of renewal.
Hello, fellow historians. I'm Andre Henderson, and I'm filming here in front of the restored Shuri Church. This town, Shuri, served as the headquarters of the Imperial Japanese Army's 32nd Army. It is an estimated 200,000 rounds of artillery and naval gunfire landed in this town alone. And the only structures left standing were the concrete structures of Shuri Church and one local junior high school. The United States military chaplaincy has always stood at the crossroads of faith and war. And from its creation in 1775, chaplains have carried a dual mission to offer spiritual care and to sustain morale. As Robert C. Doyle notes, the chaplain's duty is to be present for them at all times, in all places, in all circumstances. By the mid-20th century, the chaplain corps had grown into a professional institution that reflected the diversity and confidence of American religion itself. John W. Brinsfield's Freedom on Fire traces how chaplains evolved from volunteer clergy to trained officers integrated into military command. During World War II, they moved wherever troops moved, across Europe, across the Pacific, and ultimately into the shattered cities of Japan and on the island of Okinawa. When American forces occupied Okinawa, chaplains found themselves in a new kind of battlefield. One not necessarily of gunfire, but definitely one of human need. The Methodist Board of Missions' late 1940s pamphlet, called The Church on Okinawa and the Ryukyu Islands, documents how U.S. chaplains joined with local pastors to rebuild sanctuaries and establish the Okinawa Christian Association. Marine Robert Ory's letter that I read just a few moments ago recalls attending Mass under all conditions and in every place imaginable. His words capture both the endurance of faith and the improvisational spirit of chaplains. These chaplains conducted services beside foxholes, grave sites, and makeshift tents. Despite occupation policies of separation of church and state, General Douglas MacArthur encouraged his chaplains and military commanders to aid the Japanese churches and clerics. Chaplains became liaisons between U.S. soldiers and the Okinawan people, and in that sense, the line between pastoral care and missionary enterprise blurred. Brinsfield observes that chaplains often functioned as cultural intermediaries. They were not officially missionaries, but their actions carried missionary consequences. Local scholars like Kentaro Furusawa and Mikio Miyagi show that Okinawan Christians such as Reverend Osamu Taira welcomed cooperation, but also wrestled with its implication. This two-part project examines the history of the chaplaincy of the United States military as a reflection of religion in America in general, and then traces a through line to the contributions American religion made to the development of Christianity in Okinawa. Thank you for watching.